Documents that you can expect to see at the closing table. There are both state and local laws that will dictate the documents you need for closing, as well as how you will close on your home loan. Although these laws vary, the mortgage loan settlement has many very standard legal documents and what are often called exhibits required to close on your home loan. This is Selland with Signet Mortgage, and we're going to talk about important documents you'll need to be prepared for to sign before closing on your home loan. Let's begin with the closing disclosure, or CD, is a 5-page document that summarizes your mortgage loan terms. It provides estimated monthly payments and closing costs. The reason it is still estimated on the closing disclosure is because the settlement agent will be gathering your final costs for items like taxes and insurance and the allocation between you and the seller, and it may vary a little bit. When you get to your final closing documents, everything will be set. You'll have your cash to close and you'll have your actual monthly payment all set and disclosed. The closing disclosure outlines all the settlement payments and credits and specifies who's responsible for paying what. You will receive the closing disclosure a minimum of 3 business days prior to your actual closing date. You must acknowledge receiving the closing disclosure at that time before you can actually sign your closing documents. This is a federal law and there are no exceptions, so you want to be sure to work with us on the timing of your closing disclosure. The 3 days are designed to allow you to compare your original disclosure or loan estimate with your closing documents and make sure all the numbers are consistent. Important that during this 3-day wait period, ask all the questions you want or you need to, because if there's anything that needs to be updated, it can be done right away and not cause an issue at closing and delay your transaction. Title documents. Title insurance ensures that the seller is the legal owner of the property and that there are no claims, liens, or pending judgments or anything against the property that would prevent you from taking ownership. The title policy is issued before closing, but you're required to pay for it as part of your closing costs. Every lender requires title insurance. The company issuing the title insurance policy will have researched the legal records on the property to ensure that you are receiving what is called clear title or ownership to the property upon transfer. Title companies may offer both a lender's policy and an owner's policy. A lender's policy is required, so you don't have any choice on that. But the owner's policy is not required. However, it's a good idea to have an owner's policy to protect your interest in case there may be some sort of fraud or lien or faulty title discovered after closing. Homeowner's insurance or hazard insurance. Your lender will require to have homeowner's insurance on the property for at least the amount of the replacement cost of the property. You should make sure your policy covers the value of the property as well as the contents in the event that they're destroyed or damaged by a covered event. Homeowners insurance policies must be paid for and be active at the time of closing and often require the borrower to pay 1 full year in advance. And if you've chosen an escrow account, a couple extra months up front at closing. These funds are placed into what's called an escrow account that will hold the funds and pay them out to your insurance company annually when they're due. The mortgage note is also called a promissory note and is legal evidence of your indebtedness and formal promise to repay the debt on the home plus interest within agreed upon length of time. The mortgage note sets out the amount and terms of the home loan and also recites the penalties and steps the lender can take if you fail to make your payments on time. The deed of trust is the security instrument which gives the lender a claim against your home if you fail to live up to the terms set out in the mortgage note. The deed of trust recites the legal rights and obligations, both you and the lender, and gives the lender the right to take the property by foreclosure if you default on the loan. The deed of trust will be recorded and will provide public notice of the lender's claim, which is called the lien on the property. Then there's closing instructions. They serve to engage the closing company or title company to all the parties of the real estate transaction. The title company or closing attorney agrees to provide settlement services in connection with the transaction for the sale and purchase of the property. The parties who engage are the buyers and sellers. The documentation authorizes the closing company to obtain information necessary for the closing. The closing company in turn agrees to prepare, deliver, and record all the documents necessary to close the transaction. Any additional documentation that are in the package will be needed for your closing will be set out in the commitment letter from the lender and will depend on the terms of the sale and anything unusual that's happening with property type and local ordinances. Examples might include like the certificate of occupancy in a new home, termite inspection, flood insurance, water rights, whatever. Regardless if the documentations are lender or state specific, they should not be taken lightly. Take your time to review and ask questions. That's the time to do it. It's also important to remember that you have a deadline for closing, which is usually dictated by your sales contract. So make sure to get your documents together and reviewed on time and ask questions well in advance of the signing. Once you have reviewed your documentation and signed your paperwork, you're on your way to becoming a homeowner. Thanks for watching. This is Clay Selland with Signet Mortgage. You can connect with me, clay@signetmortgage.com, or my phone number, 925-807-1503. I look forward to helping in any way that I can. You take care.